Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
The Pear Tree of Prosperity may sound like an unusual name for a hypnosis session, but that's exactly what you're going to be listening to right now. Because I was working with a client that, because of their childhood, had quite disempowering beliefs about money, about wealth, about motherhood, and also about expressing joy. And a lot of these things they felt were wrong or ruthless or bad or shameful. So this hypnosis session uses quite an unusual metaphor. This particular client felt that the fruit least desirable for them was the durian fruit. And the durian fruit is a tropical fruit that's quite pungent. It's got quite a smell. It kind of smells like it's gone off. It's a very healthy fruit, but it's quite pungent. And she didn't like this fruit at all. So I use a metaphor of a durian tree with these quite spiky looking durian fruit on there. And they represent all of the emotions and thoughts and behaviors that came from these disempowering childhood beliefs. Her favorite fruit was a pear. So imagine this magic watch that shrinks the tree back to when it was tiny, and then she replaces that with a pear tree. And this represents all of the empowering alternative beliefs to replace the ones that she had before. And then this goes forwards in time, and then she can get a sense of wonderful emotions and thoughts and feelings and actions, and also opportunities that naturally bear fruit from the updated beliefs. Very metaphorical, but if you have issues with either money or judgment or feeling that you can't express joy, you can't smile, you can't laugh, I think you're going to get some value from this session. Some of the suggestions were very, very specific to this client, so ignore any that aren't quite right for you. And if you do like the idea of working with me directly, have a look in the description and you can either do a hypnotherapy suitability test, or you can book a free consultation call to explore working with me. For now though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. And as you close, just position your body in such a way where you can allow yourself to relax deeply. That's it. And just become aware of your body, where any tension may be hiding, the speed of your breath, and maybe, if you focus, you can detect a heartbeat or a pulse. And notice that the deeper you breathe and the longer you exhale, how your whole body is releasing tension, how you're letting go of anything that is unnecessary. And you can feel how wonderful it would feel to just allow your mind and your body to slow down. That's it. Breathing gets deeper, the exhales get longer. And then scan your body for any clues of tension. Maybe there's tightness in a muscle or a tendon. And just imagine how good it would feel if that starts to melt away. Taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a garden in Malaysia, an impressive garden full of flowers and plants. But right in the center of this garden is a durian tree filled with that spiky, jagged fruit, the durian. And I want you to imagine there's a very comfy chair not too far from that tree. And just imagine placing yourself in that chair, staring into the tree, looking at all of these different fruits. And I want you to get a sense that you're drifting deeper and deeper relaxed, almost using your peripheral vision to zoom out and see the whole tree as an entity, to allow any more tension to melt away. As you start thinking that this tree represents disempowering beliefs formed in childhood. And I want you to get a sense that each of these fruits, they may be healthy, but for you they represent something pungent, smelly, slimy. And I want you to get a sense that most beliefs are formed in childhood. Beliefs about money and motherhood. Beliefs about who you're meant to be and what it's okay to say. And sometimes they're learned from unconscious role models, quite often parents. We learn very quickly what's okay and what isn't okay. And those things that we believe that echo other people's beliefs get reinforced with approval and validation. And those beliefs that contradict that early environment are shot down, leading to either verbal, emotional, sometimes even physical consequences. So there is no shame at all in believing what you believe. But just because you do, doesn't mean you have to. Very few people audit their beliefs. They're just there, in the background. And a great way to audit a belief is to say, knowing what I now know, would I choose to believe this thing if I didn't believe it already? And I want you to get a feeling that each fruit on this durian tree represents perhaps an idea, a thought, an emotion connected to some of those childhood beliefs. Things like, I'm not allowed to express my joy. It's shameful to be a mother. Or perhaps the idea that in order to have money you have to be ruthless. Or perhaps superficial. And as you stare into the tree, I want you to get a feeling that what if these childhood beliefs are giving you pungent, smelly, disgusting thoughts, feelings, and ideas, not because you deserve them, but they're just coming from the underlying beliefs. So let's do something new. Imagine in your hand on that chair staring into the durian tree, you have a pocket watch. And I want you to imagine this pocket watch is magical. With your finger, you can rotate the clock backwards. And as you do, see the tree going in reverse. Instead of aging, it goes backwards. And perhaps 1 hour on the clock represents a year of this tree's existence. If the tree is 30 or 40 years old, then all you have to do is to spin the clock back 30 or 40 hours, and you see the tree shrinking, getting smaller and smaller. And you can decide if you stop the clock when it's just a tiny sapling or a seed in the ground. But when you can imagine that durian tree as a tiny plant, let me know by nodding your head. And at that point, it's easy to remove. You can pluck the plant out with a single hand or remove the seed. And I want you to imagine you have a ripe pear. And imagine putting that ripe pear, perhaps with 6 or 7 seeds inside, in the very hole where the durian tree once was. And just to check that it's growing, I want you to move your magical watch forward half an hour, so you get to see what those seeds would look like in 6 months' time. And I want you to see at least one sapling starting to grow. And then move it another full rotation, and you can see that small tree at 1.5 years. And then move it forward a few more years, perhaps 4 or 5, and see the very first pears on this small tree. And these pears represent wonderful thoughts, feelings, emotions, or experiences that came from more useful beliefs. And just allow yourself to sit back on that chair and see the clock moving by itself now. I want you to see the tree growing, perhaps 1 year for every minute that you experience. As we plant ideas as to what those pear seeds could have been to grow this particular tree. And I want you to get a feeling that any fruit that flows from this tree is the wonderful consequences of more empowering beliefs. So let's explore those beliefs. Stare into this growing tree, and you start to think that money is simply energy, a neutral tool that reflects the value you create in the world. And you're allowed to feel increasingly comfortable with money, free from fear or tension whenever you think about it. Because the more money you have, the more value you must be creating for the world. You know that healthy boundaries around money protect your security and allow generosity to flourish at the right times based on your discernment. You welcome the truth that attracting money often comes from the value you contribute and the courage to take wise risks. You feel valued, seen, and heard because you help others to feel valued, seen, and heard. Maybe you already realize that money itself does not define a person's character. It simply amplifies who they already are. And you could think of it like generous people with money can be even more generous. Caring people could be even more caring. Adventurous people have the resources to be even more adventurous. But also the opposite is true. Ruthless people could be more ruthless, and selfish people could be more selfish. But that has nothing to do with you. That's a reflection of them. Some people are happy and rich, and some people are happy and poor. Some people are rich and miserable, and some people are poor and miserable. Money does not define, or in fact, cause real happiness. You understand that money is not to be feared, but it's to be managed with a healthy respect, with the value it deserves. And you can do that with wisdom and boundaries that support your values, your vision, and your legacy. I want you to feel, as you see the tree continuing to grow, more and more pears each season, that you are open to receiving money as a reflection of your worth and the positive differences you make in the world. So give yourself permission now to enjoy the presence of money in your life without guilt or shame. And you can feel safe knowing that money does not change who you are at your core. It only magnifies those wonderful qualities within you. You choose to express joy freely when it uplifts others and honors the moment. But also trust your discernment, not to suppress but just pause that joy when compassion and sensitivity are required. I want you to get a feeling that joy, health, and financial abundance flow easily when it's aligned with authenticity, value, and purpose. From this point on, money is just a partner, an ally, not a threat, in creating the life that you choose. And maybe you feel more and more relaxed when thinking about money, because you know it's simply a balance and a reflection of choices and values. And when you think about mothers, I want you to think that just as there are people good with money and bad with money, there are good mothers and bad mothers. And I want you to get a sense that good mothers are caring and generous and dedicated, but also able to make their own choices. And sometimes that means spending time or attention away from a child to show them the essence of hard work and pursuing a worthy goal. You enjoy the balance of being both generous and protective of your resources, knowing both are essential for prosperity. I want you to walk up to the pear tree, now fully grown, and find the ripest pear and take a bite. And just feel how nourishing, how delicious, but also how powerful all of the thoughts, emotions, and feelings are coming from these new updated beliefs. And feel that you embody the qualities of care, generosity, and wisdom. And you trust that money will amplify these qualities within you. As you give yourself full permission to live with joy, compassion, and discernment, knowing that money is just one of many tools that support your freedom and contribution. And I want you to have a feeling that these new beliefs will carry on into your future. And I want you to imagine seeing yourself doing something that will live beyond your own mortality. Maybe it's impact. Maybe it's something tangible. I want you to consider this a legacy. That these beliefs will naturally give you resources, emotions, thoughts, and experiences that will increase the quality of your life, but also lead to a legacy that lives beyond you. And if you could imagine what that legacy could be, even if it's just a possibility, consider yourself planting a new seed in the ground that may take many years to grow, but you are setting the intention now, even if it's decades before the legacy becomes a prophecy. And I want you to think at how quickly that smelly, pungent durian tree changed into a delicious pear tree. And just every now and then, if an echo of a thought or emotion connected to those old beliefs comes up, just remember this pear tree and just feel that that thought or emotion wasn't meant for you. There will be other people that like the durian, but the pears are for you. It's time to leave this Malaysian garden and imagine floating up out of the garden, seeing the pear tree from above, grabbing one final pear before you float all the way back to where you are now. And as you climb back into your own body, feeling in the here and the now, take all of these updated beliefs with you. And when I count from 1 to 10, you will awaken with these new beliefs. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. And if you've enjoyed this show or got some benefit from it, you may know of one other friend or family member that may also benefit from this hypnosis session, in which case I'd like to ask a favor of you, and that is if you could spend 10 seconds to share this episode with someone that you know that may also benefit. That would really help me to access new people that don't already know about this show. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you again on the next episode.